Dear ones, how are you doing today? How is your body feeling? Have you had a chance to drink some water? If you haven't, go and get some right now. It's okay. We'll wait a little bit. Have you unclenched your jaw? Have you let your tongue rest at the bottom of your mouth instead of the top? Have you taken time to just be still? Actually, let's take some time to do that. Yeah, right now. Here's an image I found on the internet to help you. We'll follow it. Have you talked to someone that you care about or someone that cares about you? There is no denying that these days things are tough. If things seem tough, I encourage you to take it one day at a time. And if that seems tough, and golly, sometimes it is, take it 1 hour at a time, or even just 1 minute. You are not alone. These times are tough for everybody. And perhaps there is comfort in that. We are all in this together, and we each need one another to make it. Now, in these tough times, we often turn to Mr. Rogers. For really good reason. He was skilled at ministry with children. Fred Rogers, or the Reverend Fred Rogers, was a Presbyterian minister whose parish was in fact every child who watched his show. Now, there is an often quoted piece from Mr. Rogers where he says that when things were scary, his mom would remind him to look for the helpers. Now, Mr. Rogers' reasoning here feels great, but it implies that all of the disasters that are on TV, there are people who are helping in those situations. And now this is where I need to split my message into 2 parts. The first is to children. To the children who are wondering, what are we going to do with this coronavirus? I invite you to look for the helpers. If you are scared, know this: there are other people who are scared and who are working to make the situation better. There are people who are treating people who are sick, who are making masks, people who are researching medicines and vaccines that protect us. Now, chances are good the grown-ups in your life know someone who is treating someone else. They know a helper. Maybe you could make a card to send to those helpers, to thank them, to say thank you. They are people who, even though they seem brave, are scared just like you. And because of their training or schools that they went to or their interests, they are doing something to make the world a little bit better. There are people who are keeping you safe and who are keeping all of us safe. And also know this: you are loved and lovable. There are grown-ups in your life who love you deeply. Also, kids, take a moment to tell your grown-ups thank you. Take a moment to tell them that you love them. Take a moment to tell them that they are doing a great job. But if you are a grown-up, I ask you to not look for the helpers. Why? Well, we have to remember that Fred Rogers was a student of child psychology. He was a master at translating complex topics into topics that could be understood by a 5-year-old. Yes, looking to the helpers is wise advice if you are helping a child in your life cope with the wild world in which we all live. But this looking to the helpers is just one part of the equation. The Fred Rogers Foundation, or some other website that is giving this advice, I forget exactly which one it was, also reminds parents, it reminds you to do other things with the children that they are raising. It suggests things like turning off the television, maintaining regular routines, and offering physical affection with the kids that are in your house, of course. This advice was meant for children as part of a holistic approach for healing. If you are a grown-up, I ask you to not stop and just look for the helpers, because you are the helpers. You have coping skills. You have political influence. You are not helpless. You are the helpers. Yes, the helpers that Fred Rogers was talking about in his original context were most likely policemen or firefighters or doctors who were in the midst of a natural disaster. Who are the helpers now? You are. Whether you're staying home or isolated to protect this interconnected web of all existence, of which we are all a part. Nurses and doctors too, and all of the countless medical professionals that are part of our healthcare system. They are doing worthy and noble work. However, I worry about hero worship. It means that when they get sick or when they die as the result of working in this fight, in this battle, it means that we feel that their deaths or injuries were noble, were necessary, were unpreventable. Whenever war language is deployed, it can get incredibly complicated. It creates a false choice. You are either with us or you are against us. It makes it seem as though we are being attacked by an unseeable enemy. And it distracts us from the root causes. We have seen how very preventable this pandemic is. And when the deaths come or the injuries come, mourn for the dead and fight like hell for the living. That's what Mother Jones said. Now, there is a quote from the book of Leviticus, which is one of my favorites. The paraphrase of this verse that is echoing in my mind right now is this: do not stand idly by while your neighbor's blood is shed. Take a moment to mourn, yes, but then also question why it had to be that way. This is also the time where we will be told that this was unpreventable, where they are doing this for the greater good of all of us. And the thing that we need to keep in mind is this concept of moral injury, where people's morals, where people's conscience, where the things that make them who they are questioned. We see this often with folks when they go off to war, soldiers. They become morally injured, and it is something that we don't quite see. So, beloved, here you are. I invite you to take a moment to breathe, to do something that centers you, to do something playful maybe. I hope that you do drink some water. I hope that you remember to take it one day at a time. And if that's tough, 1 hour or 1 minute, if the hours and days seem too long. I hope that you are well. I hope that you are resting well. I hope you have nourishing food. Beloved, here you are. Know this: what you are is enough. May it be so.